Hey, you're listening to Stop the Scroll, a social media marketing podcast, and I'm your host, Heidi Schmidt. I'm a social media strategist and agency owner with over 15 years of marketing experiences helping businesses grow online. We'll be diving into what you need to know so that you can show up confidently online without the overwhelm. Get your notebook ready to jot down some amazing marketing gems, and let's dive into it. Welcome back to another episode of Stop the Scroll. I recently said this in an episode, but we're gonna keep talking about it, and we're gonna talk about how do we, in the age of the TikTok ban and coming back less than 24 hours later, and I feel like the future of TikTok is still to be determined, but it's led a lot of people, and a lot of TikTok creators are talking about this, and I have been talking about this, and I've had this conversation with some of my clients about why we, as business owners, no matter what size business you have, need to have diversified marketing. We need to. It's just a fact. Social media is not owned marketing. So today specifically, I wanted to talk about email marketing. And I'm going to share a couple of other ways that you can diversify your marketing that are low cost, but we're not going to get into super specifics. Some of those ways when we think about diversifying our marketing are leaning into SEO, investing in your long form content, investing in building your email list, which is what we're specifically going to get into. And if we're relying solely on another platform to market our business that we have zero control over, the opportunities are really endless. And, I saw a list in an email recently, and I really liked some of the opportunities that she had listed, but I was like, some of these are not what I would recommend to clients. But I'm going to share my own recommendations today. So we're leaning more towards email marketing, but in order to start an email list, you got to kind of have some of those foundations down. You have to have, ideally, you're creating some form of long form content that you can market to your email list. Ideally, you have a lead magnet. Those are the two things that I really recommend having before you get started, because, you can add your customers to your email list absolutely 100%. That's also an easy way to grow your email list. If you're like, well, I don't have any clients yet, how do I get started? One, definitely lean into that long form marketing, that SEO, that evergreen content. So start a blog if you don't already have one. If you have a blog and maybe you don't have a lead magnet, add some forms to your website. For the love of all marketing holiness, add some forms to your website, whether it's just a newsletter form before you have your lead magnet, whether it's, your contact us form, having that feed into your email magnet. Make sure you have a little checkbox that says, subscribe to our email list so that they can opt in. But if you are also like, hey, how else can I put myself out there? One, have a lead magnet, because these are the ways that might be able to expand your audience and get you in front of people and get them to join your email list, whether you're participating in virtual summits or whether you're like a guest on other podcasts or whether you're using paid ads. The one thing that you definitely want to have is a solid lead magnet. And I feel like I need to bring a guest on to talk more about lead magnets. I kind of know things that I need to know as a marketing generalist for many, many years about lead magnets, and I've used them and I've had lots of success with lead magnets. But I know someone who is an expert in lead magnets, so I'm going to ask her if she'll come on and chat with me, and so that she can share her expertise. She's a gem. There's also paid ads, but if we're trying to hey, I don't want to be as reliant on social media, paid ads are certainly an opportunity. 100%. Absolutely. Yes, you can do lead gen ads on Facebook and Instagram. But if you're kind of hey, I don't really want to lean into the meta platforms because Mark Zuckerberg is kind of meh, I get you. I really do. And, it's made me question everything that I do with my life. But we're not going to go there again. We already talked about that. So why do we really need to have an email list? We're going to talk about some ways. Obviously, having lead magnets, having an opt-in strategy, those pop-ups on your website, that landing page, And, newsletter, ManyChat can certainly help, especially on Instagram. Like utilizing that social media optimization is chef's kiss winning these days. I don't love this option, but it was one that I came across in my research for this. But how can you partner with other businesses? And, you can cross promote email lists. That way you can maybe capitalize on their audience and vice versa, especially if you have ding, 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 have that lead magnet to promote. Because if you're in that stage of growing your email list, you have to have a lead magnet to actually capture the email addresses of your audience. I also very, very much like Kit, formerly known as ConvertKit. They have a creator network of other creators on the platform that you can lean into for recommendations and just kind of being there so that people can opt into your email list. It's kind of magic. I have grown my email list probably like by 25 to 50% over the past year just by being on the creator network, which is kind of amazing. You can use, and you see this a lot on Substack. I love Substack newsletters. I keep thinking about creating one just to kind of get me back to like my older blogging roots. I have not yet. Well, I have the Substack landing page, but like I haven't really done much with it. I think I published one Substack last year, and I'm pretty sure the only two people who are subscribed to it are like my aunt and my mother-in-law. I digress. But you can certainly use your newsletter for VIP content, early access, discounts, et cetera, et cetera. And you see this with some retail companies. Retail companies are really good at that. But also, like, if you have an app, I don't know. I'm thinking of like one of my favorite delightful little boutiques that I shop at is called Social Threads, and they have a lot of app exclusive stuff. And they get people to their app from their email list, and they talk about these exclusive discounts they have on their app via their email list. And that is a strategy because you know what? Like, I don't like shopping via apps, but I certainly started to recently. So yeah, it's interesting how your marketing strategy, like especially if you have an app or a newsletter or whatever, can help kind of change the little habits of your audience. And this is more like B2C people, less B2B, but like it's an interesting, I see you. So as we learned in the past couple of weeks, like you have to diversify your audience. And as one of my big goals this year was to diversify my revenue. And part of how I'm doing that is one, really leaning into my email newsletter or my email list by one, I started a newsletter at the end of last year. If you're not subscribed to it, please go and subscribe. It's linked in the show notes. This whole TikTok thing has really just got me thinking that like everyone needs to have a backup plan. And we put so much stock into our social media platforms because it's easy. Because, like if you have an audience of 1,000 people and you're getting in front of 100 people by posting, one 10-second reel each day, like that's probably more people than you're going to get in front of on any other average day, unless you're like out there hustling or have a team hustling for you. But for some of us, that's not necessarily realistic. So if you're looking to diversify your revenue, also, like if you're like, hey, I have this opportunity to diversify my revenue, and I've had this conversation with a good friend of mine, and she owns a storefront. And, one of the things that she's considered leaning into in recent months, and I don't know what her status is, but like consulting and coaching. That is why I have fully leaned into my consulting offer, which is a done with you, and my strategy sessions and workshops. And I'm also kind of leaning into the passive income, which we all know passive income is not truly passive. Let's be honest. But if you're like, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who is a bookkeeper, and she's like, I mentioned HoneyBook at this conference and like 20 people signed up for it and I made like $700. Why not you? Why not me? Why not me? So I am leaning into affiliate links. I'm kind of coaching clients on how to lean into that and supporting them when I can, because there's this opportunity to add revenue into your business, into your home. Like if you don't yet have a business, maybe your business is still a side hustle and like, oh my God, how can I just get another splash of revenue? Like, why not set up a Shop My account? Why not look at the programs that you're using and see if they have affiliate programs? Absolutely, 100%. Why not? Because what? Like, it takes like you're going to spend a little bit of time on the front end, setting up all the links and making a home for them and all that fun stuff. Like I still have to I want to add my resources to my website, which is, whew, got to do that. But that is a way to kind of set it and forget it. And whatever money you make, like, okay, one time, and like you mention it in a newsletter, you mention it on social media, you add it to your link in bio, like those are easy things that you can do to kind of diversify those revenue streams. Speaking of email newsletters, like sponsorship opportunities. I was having a conversation with someone a couple of weeks ago and they were like, do you want to have sponsorships on your newsletter? And I was like, I wouldn't say no. If someone wanted to sponsor my newsletter, sponsorship's open. Really trying to be more once a week, but it's been once every other week, which is totally fine, and I'll get to the once a week, but I've kind of mentioned the past couple of episodes, or even if I didn't mention it, I have some family stuff going on. And so this upcoming week, when this goes live, like I have to spend, 5-6 days away being with my family for a funeral, and it's hard. But I've also kind of learned in the past few months, like, I don't want to take on every single client that comes my way. Like, I have a capacity because I still very much am in the account management mode as well as running my business. And I have my team of creators, and I still create a lot of content for my clients. So, like, I realized what my max was. And yes, it took a hit in revenue. And that's why I was very much like, holy heck, I need to diversify. And I think when these things happen, and getting back to, I've kind of digressed here, but it really shows us and that we need to diversify the platforms that we market our business on, how we earn income. I had a boss a while ago who used to say that he wanted 3 avenues of revenue for his business, and one of them was outsourced this, and another one was like a virtual academy, and another one was the like one-to-one coaching consulting. And I've really held that, and it's taken me a long time to get there, but I want to have at least 3 avenues of revenue. And by that nature, you should also have 3 ways that you market your business. For me, it's in person, it's email marketing, it's SEO, and it's social media, and sometimes paid ads. Sometimes. I'm not leaning into every social media platform. I'm not going to lie, I love TikTok, and I'm glad that it's back for now. It's more of a personal platform for me. I learned a long time ago in my 20s when, social media was a very new thing. I went to Northeastern University and we leaned into co-op. So, 3 years of my 5-year program, 6 months of those 3 years, you were working professionally full time. And when Facebook first came out, everyone was showing pictures of them partying. And it was like, don't share anything that you don't want a future employer to see. And that was kind of drilled into my brain, especially as a political science major. And then later on, I worked at a lobbying firm briefly. And I had my boss who realized that I had a blog. She's like, make sure you don't put anything on there that you don't want to see on the front page of the Washington Post. And now her family had been kind of engrossed in a scandal at one point, which was very much the front page of the Washington Post. So I've always, in my personal brand, and even for my business, even what I share on social media, like I'm always mindful of that because we have to be, like anyone can take anything out of context, spin it one way, and destroy your livelihood. Anything that you put out there can be copied. We talked about that on a recent episode, and I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about all these like large multi-million-dollar coaches who have thousands upon thousands of followers copying each other and people who are kind of smaller than them. And it's like, why? So, You have to have your content strategy. You have to have your whole business strategy, which your business strategy really talks about those avenues of, your products or your offerings and all that kind of fun stuff. And then your marketing strategy goes into the promotion of those and the avenues that you take to promote them. Do you want to lean into a membership type program that kind of offers exclusive content, subscription model type thing to diversify your revenue? That is something that I am hoping to launch by the end of Q1. We'll see. Fingers crossed. I get my act together. We'll see. I'm still kind of like mapping it out in my brain, and I was kind of in the mindset of like, I'm just going to do it messy, but I need to make sure that I'm offering like something high value to people who might want to work with me but can't otherwise afford to work with me one-on-one. So how do I bring that expertise to a group offering? Not quite a mastermind, not quite a master class. I don't know. Still working it out in my head. But we're talking about diversifying revenue streams. So, other ways, we talk about digital products. I feel like those are a dime a flippin' dozen these days, though, honestly. Dime a dozen. And I'm kind of over them. I don't know. How are we feeling about digital products these days? I don't know. So what are we doing to really, really grow our email list? And I kind of alluded to this at the beginning of the episode. Find a lead magnet idea. And I would recommend if you are stumped and you're like, where do I flip and start here? Go to ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, I am a whatever you do. I help whoever you help. Do you understand? Make sure ChatGPT understands. I recently saw this tip and I was like, ooh, that's smart. That's smart. Help me give me 10 ideas for valuable lead magnets that would solve a common problem for my ideal audience. And you might say, like, I help with XYZ, whatever their problem is. And ChatGPT will literally lay out some ideas for a lead magnet. And then you just go forth and create, like Canva, boom, boom, boom. You can also, like, if you need to, go to Fiverr, have someone else create it for you. If you're like, I'm stumped with the design, I'm overthinking things, like, honestly, like, go to Fiverr. There are some good people out there and they're just trying to make $1, and they're out there on Fiverr. And I've used Fiverr for many things. So there's that. I digress because we're getting long here. In light of the TikTok ban, we are leaning into email marketing. In order to build our email list, we're going to start with, I've kind of talked before about lead magnets. I've talked before about downloading your LinkedIn contacts. I feel like I should do like a video on YouTube on how to do that. I wouldn't want to like show off who my LinkedIn contacts are, but it's certainly an option if you're just getting started. I think I talked about this on like an episode ago or 2 episodes ago. I don't know. Make sure you're staying up to date on the platform changes. I'm going to try to talk. There were a lot of Instagram updates in January, so I think I'm going to talk about that in like a week or two. So subscribe to your favorite marketing podcast. I guarantee you there is someone out there that is talking about all of the Instagram changes. Make sure that you are regularly inviting your audience to sign up for your email list. Have your sign up link in your Instagram bio, have it on your website, share it frequently, run a meta ad, and just try to get people to your email list. Mention any freebies, resources, anything like that. And I've seen people do freebies like a free meditation. I've seen people offer checklists. I've seen people offer a tool that they offer to their clients. And, you don't have to overthink it. You probably already have it already created. And you're just like, why would someone give me their email list to download that? Well, why wouldn't they? That's kind of my theme of this year. Like, why not? Why not me? Why not? And why not you? Why can't you build your email list? Well, are you kind of worried that people are going to say no? Like maybe for every 7 no's that you get, or 7 people who are like, meh, I don't need that. Like you're going to get at least 1, 2, 3, 5 people who sign up. So why not diversify your marketing, try out other platforms, grow your email list, lean into SEO content, and diversify your revenue. Like I didn't intend on talking about diversifying revenue today, but I kind of leaned into it, and whatever. I think it's something in this new era that we're we're leaning into in the world, something that we all need to be cognizant of because we just don't know how the economy is going to go. We don't know when opportunities are going to dry up. Like, I certainly felt it end of last year. And that's why, like, my big thing this year is like, we're diversifying. We're going for other services. We're going for passive revenue. We're doing it. We're doing it. And if it takes me a year to make my first $1,000 of affiliate income, then it takes me a year. But you know what? It's still going to be $1,000. Anyhow, thank you for listening. I appreciate being in your ear. And if you are loving the podcast, if this is your first time, if this is your 42nd time, thank you for listening. Please go like, subscribe, and leave a review for my podcast. That is how other people find us. And I am so grateful for everyone who's listening. Be sure to connect with me on all the social media platforms. And like I said, the link to subscribe to my newsletter is in the show notes. And I hope that you subscribe because then you'll get not just, I've been doing some fun things in the newsletter. I really like the format. It's fun for me to create. So yeah. And until next time, go forth, diversify your content, and create amazing content that stops the scroll and adds subscribers to your newsletter. Bye for now.